Content warning. The following show contains smoking, potty mouth language, discussions of fictitious violence, and a few things that might make people feel triggered or uncomfortable. Either way, tune in. It'll be fun, but viewer discretion is advised. Whoa, we said something. Yeah, you gotta love all these technical difficulties, huh? Yeah, it's true. Should we start the music? Of course we should start the music. What the... Nah. Well, like, seriously, we still gotta start the music. Oh, well. Yeah, we're, working on that there. Default? No. There we go. Like I said, let's start the music. Hey everybody, how you doing out there? Oh my god, I'm so excited to be back that I'm knocking my stuff all over the place. How you doing? What is going on out there, everybody? I am Solar Gray, the cinematic sorcerer, and welcome to the dark side of the room. That's right, this is the show where we talk about games and theory of games and life, because what do you know about life, Lisa? That's right, we are here talking about so many different things, and if I have a little bit of a gleam, a little bit of a glow, you might say, that's because I spent most of the morning pulling weeds. Oh my god. Thing about having a house that you live at by yourself is that if you don't take care of your lawn is gonna take care of you. So, now that we got all that stuff down, I want to say thank you for everybody who is here and all of that jazz. And if you guys want to get a hold of me, it's really simple. All you got to do is leave a comment right here. Okay? Leave a comment right there. And I will see the comment and I will go, oh, what a wonderful comment. And then I shall reply. Or you can pull up your email and type in backinthedeck@gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK @gmail.com. You can also use that same email address to find me on Twitter of the X's, on the Insta, and if you are using the Clock app like almost everybody out there, you can find me at BidP, that's BIDPY, and thank you very much, my man Xanathes, for putting up the Discord conversation. That's right, just grab that link to the Discord. What? You don't got to be part of the Patreon to join our Discord with a whole bunch of really cool people. No, I'm not putting that behind a paywall. I'm putting the other one behind the paywall. And speaking of the paywall, if you guys get any value out of the stuff that we are doing and all of that stuff, well, it's very simple. All you got to do is go to these following links and maybe buy me a cup of coffee. Oh no, you're right, the thing isn't there in the chat there on the screen, but yeah, there you go. Oh, look at all that. And just in case, I'm gonna re-put up this Discord address here. Ooh, whoa, that didn't work very well, did it? Yeah, I'm gonna put up the Discord thing right there and make sure that everybody has stuff in that. But yeah, we've got all that other stuff. We've got a Patreon, a merch store, and all of those things. So feel free to join us in all of those things, because it would be really cool if you did. I'm not gonna lie, that would be super awesome. Now that we've got all that stuff happening and I've got my scroll going and all that jazz. What is going on? Daryl, yeah, what's going on, Daryl? Watching us over on the piping that belongs to each and every one of you. That means the YouTube and all that stuff. Damn you, Yard! And I wanted to talk to you guys today. And I mean, seriously, I want to talk to you guys. I really do. Because I had a very interesting weekend. And by interesting weekend, we had a Decker birthday that I was able to attend. And real talk, Neon Arlecchino, you were seriously missed. Wish that people had the gas money and to go grab you, but your your absence was felt and your presence was missed. So just know that. But I got to teach a room full of people how to play games. And I'm like, oh, I'm back in my element. I get to be a teacher again. Yeah. And here's the thing about being a teacher, okay? Here's the thing about being a teacher. I don't care what you teach. I don't care what your subject is. I don't care what your disciplines are, whether you're teaching martial arts or calculus. A universal truth is that every single teacher who is worth their salt learn something from their students. Okay? Yeah, that's right. That was one of those pause statements so that you guys could take that in. All right. And today is going to be a little different because I'm not having coffee. Okay. I've got to get up super early tomorrow to go pick up a Decker and a friend of the channel from the airport. So when I say that we are part of a community, you know, I ain't BSing about that. All right. Yeah. That whole, a friend is coming in from out of town. I don't live far from the airport and they need a ride from the airport. So I'm going to go get them from the airport, but I got to be up early. And the thing about being middle-aged is that coffee works. So in order not to be up until an hour before I have to go pick them up, I've got to cut myself off. I'm 86th and I don't do decaf. It is a lie. Decaf coffee is a lie. As I was saying, you've got every single good teacher learns something from their students. And every time I teach a game to anyone, I learn something new, either about the game, about teaching, or about just people in general. It's kind of edifying. I really do like that. And one thing I caught is something that is really indicative of the 21st century, which is don't turn away, okay? This isn't going to be a dark episode where I have to change the background to some dark and stormy night and change the music to like Strauss and put a filter of rain, okay? But every single person that's looking to get into any hobby whatsoever has a little bit of trauma, just a sprinkling of trauma. And as you guys know, I'm really into one-page rules, okay? Now, it's an interesting thing because I spent 5 hours writing today's episode, okay? I spent 5 hours writing today's episode and doing yard work. Look, if you're ADHD, you know we can't do one thing. And I was just thinking. And one of the things that got me is that trying to get new players to interact with the game as it is a very difficult task because every single player has gates that they bring about. And I want to talk about that today. Oh, the games we play. Title drop. I was teaching people one-page rules, and a couple of the people that I was teaching in this whole thing are veteran gamers of Warhammer 40K. Now, if you guys have ever played Warhammer 40K in, let's say, a competitive manner or a regular manner, then you know that what they sell you is not what you end up doing. And that goes for most games. At least it's not what you're doing forever. Okay? And one of the things I've noticed, and this is a really big thing, especially about adults, okay, is that a lot of adults in this day and age are feeling like they were sold a bill of goods. Okay? That's what they were sold. I want to play Warhammer 40k, and then they learn how to play Warhammer 40k, and then a new codex drops, a new edition drops, and all of the money and time and work they invested in, especially to get decent, are all out the window now, and they've got to start all over with learning new rules and playing games. Now, I know on paper it doesn't say everything that you did before is stupid and start all over again and keep giving us your money. But it really feels like it. Okay? And how does it feel like it? Well, I don't care what games you're playing. Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, 40k, Carnival, blah, 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 blah. Okay? If you get to assemble a strategy and a team or a deck or anything like that, you tend to do so around the rules of the game as written. And a lot of these games, specifically Warhammer 40k and Magic the Gathering, are big, fat, stupid liars, okay? Yeah, I said it. What do you think is going to happen? GW is going to come at me with a rap beef? Maybe a cease and desist order, but still. And when I say liars, I mean they get you locked in, and you're building the models, and you're painting the models, and the whole time they're telling you it's fun. What you're doing right now is fun, when it really feels like a price that you have to pay. Hey, what's going on, M10? Thank you so much. It really feels like the stuff that you're making and painting and storing and getting into arguments with your family because you're spending so much money and time when you could be doing a plethora of other things. But all of this is the price you have to pay to get to the fun thing. And then by the time you get there, you get 2 or 3 games of really fun stuff against people that have already done all that work. You get blasted off the table, riddled with feel-bad moments, and then the company changes the rules. Okay, a whole new edition comes out. Like, for Dungeons and Dragons, we're at 5th edition, but we're kind of at 5.5, border 6 because of D&D 1, or as I call it, D and Done. Excuse me. And that means it's almost time to invest in a new player's handbook and a new monster manual and a new DM's guide and new player settings and all that stuff. And now it's online, so it's going to be a monthly fee and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, man, I just want to play a game. Especially if you're older than 15, then you are familiar with the idea of getting a game, owning a game, and playing the game. Actually, sorry. Not 15. If you're older than 25, okay? If you are about 15, this doesn't faze you because you're used to buying a video game and then waiting for patch day and then downloadable content and then loot boxes and then microtransactions. Okay? It is a crappy model that people who have been working for a living for 10 years or more are really sick of, okay? But what are you going to do? You got all this stuff and, well, here's the thing. Here in America, people don't like to feel like they've been had. And second, they don't like to admit that they've been had. So a lot of the times they double down on it angrily and they don't talk about it and all that other stuff. And so they have this chip on their shoulder as far as playing a game goes. And today, I want to talk about how that chip on one's shoulder can turn into a game all by itself. And what is the game? The game is concealment and reveal. Okay. Sorry, hide and seek. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it's really simple. All right. A lot of people, the one chip that stops people from getting into one page. Oh, there's a few chips that stop people from getting into one page, and I'm going to go through that. But the biggest chip that I've seen is that people get burned by games in the past or by people playing games in the past. Now, to start off on that, what I want to talk about on that is something that I call origination bias. I don't know the psychological term for it, but it is the idea that however you learn something first is the foundation of your belief of not only how it is, but how it should be forever. Okay? I love using Monopoly as a phrase of this because most people don't learn games the way that they're written. Most people learn a game mostly as it's written, and then it becomes this thing where people house rule everything. And most folks, when they teach a game, they don't teach it as written. They teach it as they play it, which means house rules and all. How does this come down? Believe it or not, guys, most people play Monopoly incorrectly. Okay? I'm going to let you guys know what house rules are not in the rule book to Monopoly. Number one, putting money under free parking. That's not in the rules. Okay? Second, and this is the biggest thing, in Monopoly, you are literally supposed to start buying from the moment you roll the dice. Whatever you land on, buy it. You don't have to do a lap around the board first. And a lot of people do that. It's real talk. It's really, 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 really real. You don't have to do the lap around the board. All right. And when people find this out, it is way different. But taking away those two rules makes Monopoly last about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Versus the Monopoly that most of us grew up learning, which takes days and days, because no one goes broke because somebody hits community chest or they hit the free parking and they find money in the parking lot and all that other stuff. All right. But when we look at games, I know that when I teach games as they are written. Okay. And a lot of people do this kind of humoring thing. Hey, what is going on, Angela Smith? Yeah, you have been missed. Where you been? Well, this is first time chat and all that stuff. But yeah, so what a lot of people do is they'll humor the person teaching a game. And they'll do two things. One, they will stall to stop the game from being played. And second, this is a big one, they will criticize the game that's being taught for it not being the game that they originally wanted to. All right? How you doing? Where you're from? I really hope you're not a bot, Angela. But yeah, we're coming at you from Los Angeles, all right? Here in the Wizards Tower in beautiful, sunny Southern California. Ah, God, it's Thanksgiving week, and literally, it's about 75 degrees today. It's a thing. So, when I teach certain games, all right, like one-page rules or Carnivale, there are a few things that people do, but they turn it into a battle of wits, okay? A battle of wits, a struggle for power, or a game within a game, all right? And so I'm going to put out some of those for you guys so that you guys know what to look for. And then we're going to go through how to navigate our ways around it. All right, because this is so important to do that type of thing. Now, when someone does their best to force a game to being something that it's not, okay? The setting that you are teaching this game in is very, very, very important. Now, I got on the phone with the Decker today asking what was up with that. Now, he doesn't mind when I tell the stories of what happened, so I'm going to tell the story about what happened. As you guys know, One Page Rules is a game that's very, very, very similar to Warhammer 40k in gameplay and factions. And so when I taught this Decker One Page Rules, he looks at it like 40k, but with simpler rules. And this isn't a terrible thing, okay? However, when I was teaching the game at his birthday party, I had grabbed some pre-generated lists from people in the community to say, hey, let's just play the game. And the problem that came up was that the faction that I gave him was similar to his faction 40k, but because it wasn't a one-to-one comparison, he was having a hard time making the jump. At least that's what it looked like. And the thing that happened was the other person that was a veteran 40k player at the table was doing exactly the same thing, which kind of made it difficult for the rest of the people at the table to learn the game. But we muddled through, okay? Now, this Decker and I have hundreds of conversations about playing games, because this dude is super creative, a very talented writer, and loves customizing games. It's like when I taught him Crisis Protocol, he wanted to put Deadpool in it and all this other stuff. It was a whole bunch of stuff. All right. And it's funny because there's a little friction there. But the friction comes from, dude, I totally get that you want to customize a game to do this. However, if you're going to house rule, please learn the way the game works first, so that your house rule isn't, I make a character that I like and they never lose. You know? And we're working through that. We're kind of working through that. Now, for those of you guys that play One Page Rules or play 40k, you'll notice a very big difference in price differential. And the price differential between the games seems to be a sticking point based on the thing that we're talking about today. A lot of people want that game to be a one-to-one transfer for 40k. They want to replace the game that burned them with the rules for this free one. And I'm like, it's not a set of house rules. It's a game in and of itself. Okay? And this is something that a lot of new players tend to fall into. This is a trap that a lot of new players fall into. Take whatever genre of game you like. If you want to play D&D and your basis for fantasy is Tolkien, there will be a great big temptation to play D&D in the way that Lord of the Rings is written. And they're similar, but they have enough differences to not be, well, to be unique in their own right. Example, the Lord of the Rings as a stories has what's called a soft magic system, okay? Meaning Gandalf never threw fireballs, okay? He threw pine cones on fire, but he never summoned a fireball. He never threw lightning. You know, he didn't do the Palpatine thing. He didn't make people fly all the time. You know, that went against Tolkien's principle, because he couldn't get past the, if the hobbits get in trouble, if Gandalf comes in, saves the day, then the story's not called The Hobbit. It's not called The Lord of the Rings. It's called A Wizard Did It, you know? So he made the magic very subtle, very small, but everywhere, okay? If you watch the Lord of the Rings movie, it's really hard to see the magic. It's very hard, except for when Gandalf does the you cannot pass moment, the Wizard's Duel, Theoden healing, and Gandalf rides to take on the Nazgul and shines a great big flashlight into the sky, and the Nazgul fly away. Now we're talking 11 hours of movie, and I just stated all, and if not all, then most of the magic that people think of. Where in D&D, you've got the whole Harry Potter thing going on, where there's staves and wands and fireballs and flying carpets and all that jazz. There is magic everywhere. Okay? And so people coming at it from that point of view, they tend to go, yeah, then you shouldn't leave work stuff. A lot of things are very similar. Now, you've got the three biggest game properties outside of Hasbro now, but it was Hasbro, Parker Brothers, and Milton Bradley when I was growing up. So outside of Monopoly, Sorry, Scrabble, the games that everybody grew up with on their shelf, the three main games that every other game is based on are Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, and what seems to be Warhammer, okay? 40K now, but it used to be based on Warhammer Fantasy, but still. All right, so it's really easy to want to cram whatever new thing you work into the framework of that. And when I say it's a trap, I mean this. It's one thing to go, example. When I'm teaching a 40K player how to play one-page rules, there are two powers in one-page rules called Regeneration and Aegis, okay? And they work exactly like Feel No Pain in 40K. So I'll tell them, it's like Feel No Pain. Just think of it like Feel No Pain. That's a crossover. But the lore is different. The stats are different. It's not a one-to-one transfer. It's its own game. There are hundreds of different iterations of rules between Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic, but they are all collectible card games. And Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh were both inspired by Magic the Gathering. Okay, but it's kind of like the different iterations there are between poker. All right, like seriously, I'm going all the way back. All right, all the way back. Now I'm a blackjack player, but I know there's a difference between 5-card draw, 5-card stud, Texas Hold'em, crazy eights, and one-eyed jacks. Oh, and deuces are wild. You get what I mean? Excuse me. They're all poker. Matter of fact, most of them have the same winning conditions at the bottom. A straight still beats 3 of a kind. A full house still beats mostly everything. 5 of a kind beats almost everything if you have wild cards. You get what I mean? Like royal flushes, they have all their things. Just how you get there is different, and it's all still poker. Hang on. But poker is not pinochle. Nor is it pai gow. Nor is it blackjack. But they're all played with a deck of playing cards with 52 cards and 2 jokers. Okay? But these games of power that people do, we're going to go into sort of gaming etiquette. I explained it in such a manner as this. If you go to a nice restaurant with a friend or a group of friends, and your whole life you've liked specific burgers, okay? Let's say you like Whoppers, and you get a burger from Gordon Ramsay's place. Strike that. Reverse it. If you grew up on 5-star Michelin star stuff, and you take someone to Burger King for the first time, What will it do to their experience if the main thing that you talk about is how, as much as they might be enjoying it, it's not as good as the thing that they're not having, nor do they have access to at that moment. Okay? Like, man, this is good. It's kind of like that food thing of, you're a really good cook, but you're not as good as my grandma. You see what I mean? Backhandedly complimenting stuff reduces the enjoyment for the new people. All right? And a lot of people are so caught up on winning and being right that it can take the air out of the room to people who are trying to learn, who may not have had their same experiences. All right? And so I went on a quest, psychologically, to find out where this came from. Where is it? What causes this? And I've come up with a couple of things. One is obstinate type trauma. Okay? As I said in the first part of the segment, a lot of people put a lot of work into doing a lot of this stuff only to have it feel like it was taken away from them. I played quite a few games. Like, I myself am a veteran gamer. I am such a grognard. I've seen, not a grognard, I'm a graybeard, but I've seen lots of games go through different editions, go through changes. And I am a sucker in getting in on the bottom floor of a game. Okay, I love it. Because most of the time I grew up playing games against veterans that would never show me the way. All right. The kind of people that essentially taught you by slapping you in the face until you learn to duck. And I don't particularly like that teaching style. Never have. It has never been my bag. So with that being the truth of my experience, I try not to provide that one. That's right. I have seen things that you people would never understand. Sea beams on the shores of Andromeda. I've seen lightning crash in the middle. And all of those moments. Never mind. And the big thing is that kind of stuff only kept me in gaming because I didn't have any other friends. But if given the option to do anything fun versus going through a crucible or hazing in order to get to the fun thing, I don't know a single person that would pick that. I really don't. Well, actually, no. I do know a few people to do that because their game is you won't break me. Me? Yeah, it's not about breaking or not. It's about me having fun with something. So, but as I was saying, a lot of people have gone through that crucible and ended up hurt at the end of it. This is where we get people jumping off of game systems when the edition changes. Example, D&D 3.5 to 4th edition to Pathfinder. Most people didn't give 4th edition a fair shot because they had spent so much time and so much money on 3rd edition and 3.5. Okay, and we are talking for 3.5, it was literally possible to have spent about $3,000 on that gaming system, only for it to be announced that it's going away. And this was new. Let's set the Wayback Machine, okay? 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons came out in the year 2000. 2nd edition came out in the 1980s. Okay, I believe it was 1983. I don't know. Somebody in the chat is going to give me the real date because that's how y'all are. But we're looking at 17 years of gaming in a certain system, learning the lore, collecting the books, evolving with the property. And then all of a sudden, 3rd edition came out. But it was easy to look at 3rd edition going, I'll pick up the player's handbook, see what this new system is like, because I've been playing 2nd edition since it started. There's a lot about it I don't like. Let's see what they do now. It's been 17 years. Okay? And then after that, though, 3.5 came out 2 years later, but it was more of a patch. You know, it was more of a, oops, sorry, there's a lot of things that we didn't like here and all that stuff. But 4th edition and Pathfinder came out in 2004, 2005. So, excuse me, you spent thousands of dollars. Oh, let's be real. You spent hundreds of dollars over the course of 3 years to all of a sudden be told that everything that you spent will no longer be supported by the company, and now everybody's playing this. That is a serious kick in the teeth. Yet 17 years between 2nd edition and 3rd edition, and 4 between 4th and 5th. Or between 3rd and 4th. Okay? That was insulting, and real talk, that's why Pathfinder was made. Okay, seriously, why Pathfinder was made. I could go on this whole thing about how corporations don't really care about product and the use of product and all that stuff. But no. Okay. Yeah. Neon Arlecchino in the chat right now says a big thing that a lot of 40K players have been burned by, which is the most expensive model they own no longer has rules to play with it. And if you buy the models to make the models, you're cool. But if you buy the models to play with, like they advertise to you, then all of a sudden it's a possibility that you can't play with it anymore. You know, and that's a big kick in the teeth. So I definitely get where people come from on that. I also get being reticent to go back in, because if the biggest dudes on the block did it, how long until these little guys do it? Or are these little guys going to go out of business? You know, I remember when I was selling War Machine back at 1st edition War Machine, and a 12-year-old who's a decker to this day now, because we're talking almost, it was about 20 years ago, looked at me and said, all right, I got to ask, how long is this game going to be around? Because I have to work really hard to get my allowance, and I don't want to invest in this, and then it dies, and I'm stuck having wasted my money. I'm like, you're going to go far, kid. And fortunately, War Machine is still going. Okay. It's not a dead game 20 years later. And that $50 investment that he put in for the starter kit, he got $50 worth of fun out of it, you know? So, but a lot of the times, like I said, the big companies like Magic the Gathering, like Wizards of the Coast and Games Workshop, they do these things where they just don't care how the thing they're doing today is going to hurt their customers from yesterday. Because what they really want, what they really, really want, is for you to keep buying stuff. And they do so out of a model of fear. Okay? I played Magic the Gathering for years, technically decades. But I only paid for Magic the Gathering for a couple of years, because I saw how the new sets kept coming out, old rules were cycled out, new rules were cycled in, and I looked up one day and I saw that I had 30,000 cards that I couldn't play with most new players. Okay? I could possibly play with the people I knew in college if I could get some time with them when they weren't busy with their kids, their jobs, and their second or third spouses. If possibly. But there was no way. Like, there's no way today that I can take my Mirrodin cards into a game store for a pickup game and not be wiped off the table halfway through the first turn. You know? Power creep is a thing, and what most companies don't tell you is that they're not selling you a game, they're selling you a lifestyle. Once you're in for life. We got you, man. We got you, you know? And so it does become a little difficult to teach people new games. And this thing that older players know, which is, this is, you know, they're trying to get me, man, but they're not going to get me. I'm not going to be fooled again. Screw that. I'm not going to do it. I will beat this company, you know? A lot of that can be a thing. Now, how do we navigate it? That's the question. How do we navigate this particular thing? Well, it's kind of simple. I'm going to take a game that I love very much. And that game is Dead Zone. Now, Dead Zone 3rd Edition is about to come out. And from what I've seen, I don't really like the way that Dead Zone 3rd Edition works, but I haven't played it, so I can't give you a real opinion. I don't have enough information to give it a real review. But when it comes out, if I can get it, I will, okay? However, 2nd Edition, I adore. I love that gaming system. However, the people that I know that play Warhammer 40K won't give it a shot. Now, when you're trying to teach a new game to players, there are a few barriers that do stand in the way, and I mean sincerely stand in the way of them wanting to learn. One thing that I have seen is the idea that if I learn a new game, and we've talked about this a bit in the past, if I learn a new game, I'm going to have to put all of the time and energy into the new game as I did into the old. Okay? Now, my solution to this, really simple, really easy. Okay? Number one, I am big on model neutral games. Now, Games Workshop was not my gateway into mini wargaming, okay? Battletech was. And I'm going to explain one major difference between Battletech, at least Battletech back in the 90s, and Warhammer 40K. Okay? Battletech back in the 90s from FASA Fan Pro was so concerned with you playing their game that they provided little paper stand-ups for your mechs. Okay? Now, them being mass-produced paper stand-ups that you could buy for $1.50 meant that what you see is what you get, or WYSIWYG, was not a thing. These are my little paper cutouts. Those are your little paper cutouts. Now let's bash them together and make a whole bunch of violent noises. Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal. You know, that's really what the game is. The Games Workshop in order to sell, I'm dropping everything today. In order to sell miniatures, really leaned into what you see is what you get, which means when you make your model has got to look in real life the way it's written on paper, or it's not legal to play. Now, y'all know, as well as I know, that when you play with your friends, no one cares. But if you go to an official store at an event or somewhere to meet new people, I think someone turned gravity on really high. When you are doing all this stuff to meet new people, you have to play by the rules of the venue. And you're right, San. There is nowhere in the rule books, any of the rule books that I've read, that WYSIWYG is a thing. However, it is written down at 90% of all Games Workshop official tournaments. It is the rule for the Games Workshop stores. So they don't put it in the rules to the game. They fix the venues to where you're not allowed unless you adhere to that rule. Okay? I'm about to be historic, not political, all right? But shortly after segregation, where banks couldn't turn down loans for people based on their race, there were a lot of neighborhood covenants that essentially did the same thing under different names. Okay? That's history. All right? I have a rulebook mentioning it before wobbly model syndrome. Oh no, you know. So at the end of the day, guys, there are a lot of unspoken rules that people have to go into. And that set of unspoken rules, or as it's more commonly known, culture, is something that makes players who are veterans to playing games reticent for learning new games, because they don't look at things and say, I'd like to learn the rules to this game and I would like to play this game with my friends. They say, I'm going to look at the rules to this game. Now, do I want to learn all of the rules and all of the major hacks so that if I go somewhere and play with someone that I don't know, are they going to use a bunch of loopholes in order to make my play experience not fun? Because that brings us to the third point. Okay? The games that we play. Now, when I sit down to play a game, I sit down to play a game. Okay? It's part of my neurospice. If I'm playing Munchkin, I'm going to play Munchkin. If I play Uno, I'm going to play Uno. If I play Monopoly, I'm going to play Monopoly. Okay? What I'm not going to play is, this is my chance to prove to you that I'm worthwhile. Okay? Very competitive people hate playing games against me, because I'm the most gracious loser you will see. I'm the most gracious winner that you will see. I'm not out to destroy you and prove my sense of superiority. I'm out to play a game. Okay? And one person that I play games with is unquestionably and observably more intelligent than I am. That poor bastard. Because he's also one of the most unhappy people I know. And the fact of the matter is, he's not out to show me how much smarter he is than I am. Sometimes I win games against him. Sometimes he wins games against me. But either way, we just want to play a game. We want to do something that isn't being yelled at by our bosses that we have to drive 30 miles to go to work, because though working from home made the company more money, increased productivity, and did good stuff to the mental health of the employees, they want to make sure they don't have to fire their managers, and that their shareholders who own property don't lose money from the offices that they're pouring into. But that's for our meeting tomorrow night down by the docks. Okay? So when it comes down to a lot of this stuff, wow, we got a lot of people here. I'm so happy that you guys are all here. And welcome ASMR Mew. So yeah, seriously speaking, there's a lot of that stuff going on. Now, what can we do about it? Well, I got some bad news on some of it. Okay? Because the best thing that we can do is facilitate an environment where people show up to play games. That is all. They show up, they play pretend, and that is all. That is it. There is no more. There is nothing different. There is nothing new. That's all. We simply show up to play a game. Okay? Now, I know a lot of people, especially since I'm meeting more and more Warhammer folks, that are all about the lore, you know, and everything they do is about the lore, or more to the point, their interpretation of the lore, which might be different from mine. But it's like, okay, yeah, we're doing the lore thing, cool. I'm just happy to play. And oh my God, do some people just don't deal with that. Now, I've got some theories as to why. But again, that's for our meeting for tomorrow night down by the docks. But when it comes down to it, it's like, well, that's cool. You're into that lore. I haven't read that book, but let's talk about that book after we play the game. Okay? And a lot of people want recreations of what they wanted stuff to be. This is something that I went through a lot when I played superhero games. Okay. If you guys are not new to the channel, I love comic books. Okay. I love comics. I love heroes. I love big heroes. I love capes. All right. I'd wear my capes more often, but And when I play a game like Marvel Crisis Protocol or HeroClix or the DC Superheroes game or the Marvel Superheroes game or Batman, okay? I go, hey, my guys are doing this thing. But never do I have it in my head that my team can't lose. All right? Now, I know in comic books, guess what? They don't lose. All right? They just don't. They don't. Batman will never kill the Joker because he's a good antagonist. Batman will never die because if Batman dies and stays dead, if Batman or Superman or Wolverine or Cyclops or Captain America, if ever they go Uncle Ben dead, then the book is no longer published. Okay? And the company has to make money, and there's a concession that we have to make if we want to keep having these stories. Okay? And this brings about like kind of a belief thing. All right? Deadpool doesn't lose. Neither does Squirrel Girl. Neither does Spider-Man. If the name of the book is your superhero name, you win. Okay? But that's not the reason that people really read the books. We read it for the journey, the emotional thing. Most people read it for the journey, because we all know the ending. They're gonna win. The bad guys, if they're named bad guys, Joker's going back to Arkham. Penguin is going to Blackgate. Who is it? Captain Cold? He's going to Blackgate. Gorilla Grodd is going to be captured and taken back to Africa and put in jail there. There's always, that is how every comic book ends. It's a thing. That's what happens. All right. But the how we get there. Okay. How we get there. That's what we're there to watch. That's the thing that we're there to experience. No one thought that Thanos was going to win in Avengers Endgame. Okay? The fact that Thanos won in Infinity War was a shock, but not really, because it was a 2-part story. So yeah, it's very much one of those things. And once we become savvy to how that stuff works, we have to look at stuff with different eyes. Okay? I remember the first time I met Neon Arlecchino, I played HeroClix against them. And I'd been out of the game for 5 years, 6 years, and the game had moved on from where I was. Okay? And I got served. I mean, dude, Neon kicked the crap out of me with that game. It was my old figures versus the newest set that was out there, and it was Magenta and Professor Zoom, and I'm like, I can't catch you, I can't move, I can't do anything. Good game. I can't get to that side of the board faster than you're gonna whittle down everybody there. And we talked it out, and they saw that I was essentially new to the game again, and we became friends, and it was a great community there. It was a great community down at Brookhurst Hobbies in those days, and just great people, great fun, made a lot of friends. And Yeah. It was the first. That was the last time you used that team. Fair. Um. So at the end of it, yeah, my guys lost. It happened. Does that mean that Neon is better than me? Well, they were better than me at that game, at that time. I don't know how we would fare against each other now. But when I play HeroClix, I didn't look at it as me against this person. It was the Justice League is going in against Professor Zoom and Magenta, and oh my God, they have new technology. I'm looking at that kind of narrative, and my team doesn't have to win for me to have fun. Now that's not saying I never get tilted, guys. Okay, I do. I get tilted when I'm like, well, I just can't play. This sucks. Let's try playing something else. Let's try playing a different team. I'm not playing against your Magic deck that destroys land on turn 2. I'm not going to do that because I'd like to play. I don't like being a punching bag. Okay. And when I start to feel like a punching bag, I do get tilted. However, what is important is that my line for feeling that way is much farther along than a lot of people's. Okay. And that allows me to have a lot more fun than a lot of people. Now, another thing that gets in the way and something that we can find solutions for is expectation of what the game is. Okay. I hear a lot of people hold strong in a particular belief, okay? And the belief is in translation versus interpretation, okay? What does that mean? Well, I have a lot of friends who read prolifically, and whenever there is a movie adaptation of something that they've read, they go into that movie looking for reasons to be mad. And I don't mean saying, oh, well, it was different in the book. I mean, it wasn't that way in the book, therefore this movie sucks. They changed this for this show, therefore this show sucks. It wasn't the thing that I was introduced to. Grrr. And I'm like, okay. All right, there's that. To those people, I tend to ask them the question, is there something that you do enjoy? I mean, it's a real thing. And again, notice I said interpretation versus translation instead of adaptation. Okay. I'm fortunate to have had careers where I worked in a lot of different mediums: print, stage, screen, TV. So when I read a book and it's translated to the screen, I know exactly what goes into the translation on screen. And I know that there are certain parts of certain books that it's just too expensive or they just can't get the permission. Okay? One of my favorite examples is in Neil Gaiman's book Neverwhere. One of my favorites. They made a 6-episode BBC miniseries based on that book back in 1993. And it was fun. It was BBC. It was the 90s. It's a thing. And in the book, they have a scene that is at a store called Harrods. Now, Harrods is the big store. Okay, it's we're not talking Walmart, we're talking the big posh store. All right, super duper posh. This store literally pulls in $500,000 a day. And so it was really easy to set a scene in the book in that store. Why? Because they don't have to shut down business for you to write that there's a thing there, okay? Your story, even if it's a published book, does not interrupt their flow of business. You feel me? However, to film there would. Okay. For that scene, that store would have had to shut down for as many nights or as many days and nights as it would have taken to film there. Okay. Can you imagine shutting down an entire shopping district for 3 days for a low budget movie production? Nah, son. So they changed it to an out of service boat. They they switched up the scene for the show. Now, there are a lot of people that say, well, that TV show sucks because they didn't set it in Harrods, but they couldn't. You get what I'm saying now? All right. And this is that thing between interpretation and adaptation. Okay. Or interpretation and translation. What a lot of folks want is a translation of not just what they know, but of what they felt to a different medium. So how do we navigate this? Well, we navigate it by helping the people that we're trying to teach interact with the thing that we're trying to teach them as its own thing. Now, I'm easy, okay? And I mean, seriously speaking, that's cute, Neon. Seriously speaking, when I play games, since I cut my teeth on BattleTech, and this is my initial learning bias coming in, I don't care for WYSIWYG. I really don't. Not to mention, I've never made enough money until recently to make my models look in real life the way they are on the page. That's something I've been capable of doing only for 5 years, and I've been gaming for 30. Okay. But for the people that grew up in that culture, where if it's not on the model, then you can't use it, although it's on the page, yeah, I count that as a trauma. But I play, again, a lot of miniature agnostic games, okay? And when I tell people about OPR, I'm like, hey guys, yeah. Now, if all you've got are green army men, bring the green army men. That's fine. Matter of fact, the creators of the game and the CEO of the company says, yeah, if all you got is that, then use that. And they provide paper cutouts of figures in their packs, which are also for free. So I'm big on that. I'm big on the playing of the game versus prepping for the game part. Hang on. Sorry guys, I have a little thing here. Hangnails suck. So what I try to do is I try to gently remind people, yeah, well, it's really good that we're not playing that game, because I get a lot of, well, if we were playing this game, like I've definitely lost a bunch of blackjack hands by having really good poker hands. It's like, wow, I would have had a great straight with what's in my hand and what the dealer's pulling. Too bad I'm not playing poker. If I'm teaching one-page rules, well, my guys like this in 40K would have done this. Yeah, probably, if we were playing 40K. Just to keep reminding people of where we are and what we're actually doing, and this translates to a lot of things. Tell me, just put like a smiley face in the chat right here. Right here. If you've had players get a little tilted while playing against you and start going, well, that doesn't make sense because in real life, insert thing here. Well, in real life, this would be this. In real life, this would be that. Or, well, in the comics, this wouldn't blah, 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 They try to excuse the rule that they misinterpreted or the terrible rules got. Yeah, thank you, Zan. Thank you, Neon. And it's like, look, dude, it's just a game, okay? Just a game. This isn't this isn't an attack on your character. This isn't a statement of you are unintelligent because you haven't learned this part. Okay? We're just playing a game. Let's take it back. Let's go backwards. Let's do this. Yeah, they don't have that, but this is a big part of the game, so there we go. And this is a really big important thing. So the solution to that is to continue to remind the new player that the game that they're learning is different from the game that they're playing, and to look at the game that they're playing as the game that they're playing. Okay, that's it. Blackjack is blackjack. It is not poker. It is not Pai Gow. Okay, one-page rules is one-page rules. It is not 40K. It's similar, but it's different. Dead Zone is Dead Zone. It is not Kill Team. Okay, Yu-Gi-Oh is Yu-Gi-Oh. It is not Pokemon. And Pokemon is Pokemon. It is not Magic. You get what I mean? So when it comes down to the games that people play, it's very important to recognize what games the people are actually playing. Are they playing I have to prove I'm better than you? Or are they playing Monopoly? Are they playing if I lose, I am worthless? Or are they playing Guitar Hero? I'll tell you, I'm a very good bass player. I do not play the bass on Rock Band. I don't. I play the drums. You see what I mean? Because I'm a very good bass player, but I do like to improvise, and improvising on a game like Rock Band, not allowed. So I'm not a great Rock Band player, but I'm a good bass player. You see what I mean? So at the end of all of it, all right, recognizing what game the people are actually playing is the first step in seeing where things can go sideways. The second is to gently bring them back to the fun part of the game. Okay? The actual fun. All right? Now, I have a belief. It's just a belief, okay? That the people who wrote the games and published the games that we have access to, especially indie creators, saw what they were doing as fun. They think their game is fun. So if the people that created it think that it's fun, the question is why? Now, I've talked about this in the past, given that I despise the game Super Fight. I do. I can't stand it. I don't like debate, but I like conversation. And I definitely don't like debate to win. I like debate to exchange ideas, i.e. conversations. Show me why you think the way that you think. Interesting. I'm not going to say that you're correct. I'm going to say that you make a lot of cogent points that I have to think on. That's where I come from. I'm from old school communication. Communication back from when I had a decent back. But a lot of people have this win-lose mentality. Okay? This mentality of I have to win, and if I don't win, I'm not a man. I'm not smart. I'm not. But within a game of a winner and a not winner, it kind of conveys the message that you're not playing a game to have fun. You're playing a game to tell the other person that you're better than them. And if that person loses, what are they to think your opinion is about them? And a lot of people are like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm like, it's the other side of the coin to, if you lose, you think that they're better than you. Which means, by math, the winner is a better person than the loser. And I'm just about having fun. One of my absolute favorite battle reports channels has a slogan, Dice Tell Stories. I watched a battle report last night that was just wow. Okay, just wow. The person playing the team I was rooting for could not get the dice to roll their way in the first 2 rounds, and come round 3 when the pendulum swung the other way, they pretty much got tabled. There weren't very many models left. And I felt really bad for him. I'm like, oh man, well, you know what? Dice Tell Stories. You know? And I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly okay with that. Now, when it comes down to the games that people play, the next thing you have to ask is your opponent or your playmate, are they playing with you, or are they playing against their trauma or ghosts from the past? Okay. I had a pretty close friend in high school that every interaction was this show of dominance, because his dad alphaed him all the time, and if he couldn't alpha his dad, then he'll be damned if he was alphaed by anyone else. And his definition of being alphaed by anyone else is anyone he knew, friend or foe, being more skilled or luckier at anything that he liked. This went from talking to girls, to martial arts, to playing sports, to acting, to singing, to dancing. Okay? He could not be second place to anyone he knew, including his closest friends, with anything. And I'm just like, sorry, man. I'm about being happy. And maybe I watched way too much Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street, but I do the best I can, and as long as I'm good with the game that I played, doing the best that I could at the time, then I was good. I was happy. Win, lose, draw, I was happy across the board. That's where I sat. That's where I was. So, with all that, I want to know what you guys think. I'm pulling up the Discord right now to see if there are any questions. Let's see. Yep, any questions or any comments or anything like that. Did you know? I don't care. Not updating it right now. Oh, yeah. All right. Got all that? Nope, there are no questions, but I did put up a video of one of the tables that I put better. I'm happy I can upload videos onto Discord, so now I'm going to be uploading a few more. I'm going to be more active with our social media and all that. But I want to thank you guys for being here today. We're talking The Mexcellent, Sofa King Super, Xanathades, Mark Zink, Glenn Couch, George, Women to Men, P, I think. I'm still trying to learn this new language of lead speed. All you guys, thank you for showing up. I know I didn't put out an announcement because, yard work. Garr! And while I still have a little bit, I got to get out there and start bagging up a lot of the weeds that I pulled. But thank you guys for being here. And of course, if you guys want to get a hold of me, all you got to do is pull up backinthedeck@gmail.com. It's BACKINTHEDECK @gmail.com. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram, and of course the Discord. I'm gonna have to put that into the thing. I'm gonna have to redo this title card eventually when I have the time. Let's see here. Ooh, got a question from Glenn Couch, so we're gonna get that before we get out of here. And you can also hit me up on Deckers on the Book. Now, before we get out of here, I am going to check out a question from Glenn Couch. What is my opinion on game balance scaling? So here's the thing with game balancing, okay? I have only seen 2 games in all of my years that are perfectly balanced, okay? And those games are chess and Go. That's it. Possibly Mancala, and even those games have what's called first turn advantage. All right. That being said, and this is really big, the more moving pieces a game has, the less likely it is to be balanced across the board. However, I'm not getting out of here yet, Daryl. However, and this is a really big thing, guys. This is a really, really big thing. The random elements of any game, be it the card draw, be it the card draw, the dice rolls, the Jenga tower, however it is that they randomize, is in the best case scenarios the actual balancing forces. Okay. This is one of the reasons why games put out FAQs and erratas, as they were called back in my day. Sometimes things get passed up. Remember, nothing is created by gods. It's all people, and people make mistakes. All right? So, if you have a desire for game balance and scaling, be willing to put in the work, especially when you have house rules. Okay? And when I say put in the work, I mean do the math and ask yourself the question, how does this scale? Okay? If you're doing it for a role-playing game, is this going to be broken at level 15? All right? Is this going to make the other players feel redundant? All right? So it's a very delicate thing, and it means a lot. It means a lot to really work that stuff out. Okay. So with all that, I gotta say thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. And of course, if anyone tells you that you can't like what you like because of the circumstances of your birth, be it race, religion, creed, gender identity, sexual orientation, disabilities, or your budget, you can just look at those people, look them dead in the windows of their soul, and tell them to take whatever card they're playing on you and put it back in the deck. This is Solar Grey, the Cinematic Sorcerer, saying thank you so much for tuning in today. And we will see you next time on the dark side of the room.